What's up, what's up? It's Devin Coates. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Predictably Irrational by Ariely. Book review, book breakdown. Overview. It's a book on behavior economics. Basically, in economics, the market is supposed to be determined by the marketplace itself because people will make rational decisions, which will inevitably even everything out, weed everything out into the way it's supposed to be. Ariely is saying that we don't act rationally. Actually, we act predictably irrationally due to our human condition. So let me jump right into this. I was going to use the whiteboard completely, but photo booth flips words, didn't really know it, inverted everything. Still using the Mac. When I get a better camera, maybe we can see that part. So chapter 1, we got the truth about relativity. Basically, the way we understand things is all relative. It's not like we actually know what things are supposed to cost. There's a magazine subscription company that they used the example in the book. They offered the print for $59. The print for $125, the web for $59, and the print and web for $125 as well. And when you get this option yourself, you'll probably think, well, the print and web sounds like the best idea. The print's $125, print and web for $125. It's a good deal. And that's because of the relative information around. They did testing. 84% picked the print and web, 16% picked the web, and no one chose just the print itself for $125. Everything is relative. That's how we make our decisions. Chapter 2, fallacy of supply and demand. We use anchor points to make decisions. So if I just ask you how much does a trailer cost, you probably are going to have no idea. But once we get information, that's how we would decide. If somebody tells you, trailer is around $700, and then you go to a trailer place and they're trying to sell you $100 trailer, because you have $700 in your head, that's what you're going to think is right. Better example, TVs. You're looking at the thing. How much TV costs? No idea. There's 5 32-inch TVs. I don't really know how much TV costs at all. One's 300, one's 400, one's 500, different brands. You don't really know the difference, but because they're all around the same ballpark, you're going to probably pick the 400 because it's like, I don't know if I need the $500, but if somebody's selling it for 3, somebody's selling it for 5, 4 must be pretty good. So we use anchor points to make decisions. The real cost is 0. When it's free, we go crazy, completely irrational. They did a test. They sold Hershey Kisses for $0.01, chocolate truffles for 15 cents, and everybody chose the truffles as a better deal. And a lot of people pay for the truffles. Same difference in price. Truffles 14 cents, Hershey Kiss 0. Everybody's choosing the Hershey Kisses because now it's free. Free creates a trigger. We're losing nothing, even though we might be losing out on a better deal. Amazon started doing free shipping for everybody paying over $70 for a purchase. They got free shipping. $70 a purchase, they got free shipping. Did it all around the world, except in France, because they had some kind of legal thing where they still had to keep it at 1 franc or 1 franc, however you say it. And basically everywhere in the world, sales increased, except France, because they didn't have the free as the lure to get everybody in. Chapter 5, the influence of arousal. And basically when we're in a aroused state, we act completely irrational. They did this test where they had people one answer all these questions, like would you do weird stuff, or have unsafe sex, or would you have sex with somebody that's 80 years old, would you have sex with somebody that, would you have sexual fantasies of somebody that's 12, and just stuff that people are going to say no when they're not aroused. And then they had them now watch porn and jerk off and then answer the questions at their peak feelings or right after or whatever. And basically there was such a higher percentage of people doing things they said they wouldn't when they were unaroused, but when they were aroused they started saying they would do it. So it basically shows that when we're aroused we make really bad decisions, and we're really bad at judging how we're going to make a decision when we're aroused. And also Um, yeah, well, actually, that's just pretty much it. We need to realize that we have to make decisions before we're aroused and stick to them and do things to make us stick to them. Because if we just leave ourselves to making decisions during moments of arousal, we'll make poor decisions. Because when we're aroused, we just choose whatever feels good in the moment. The problem of the chapter 6, problem of procrastination and self-control. He breaks down procrastination. In Latin, pro means for, cras means tomorrow, procrastination means for tomorrow. And basically, we overvalue how much we're going to do in the future. And he did a test. He had a class. He's a professor. One class, no deadlines. Other class, they got to make their own deadline that they had to hand in the first week and just stick to that. Third one had a strict deadline. He did. And basically, the best grades were the strict deadline, the self-imposed deadline, second best grades, and no deadline, easily the worst deadline. Nobody was trying to fail, so it obviously showed that when we're trying to put deadlines on ourselves, we're not as effective as when people put outside deadlines on us. Yeah, so basically, and we have like a lack of self-control too. So he was talking about saving and spending. People will think that they're going to save more money when they make more money, but when they make more money, they spend more money. Because we just, we'll do it tomorrow. Now when you make that money, it's like when I make more money, and we always think we're going to do more in the future, and we don't. We need to realize that. Chapter 7, the high price of ownership. Duke basketball is very, very popular, and people camp out for it. So he goes there, does an experiment. Basically had to camp out for a weekend for the opportunity to be in the lottery. Some people win, some people don't. The winners, he asks, how much will you be willing to sell this? What's the minimum you sell it? The winners would say $2,400. The people who went to the same exact torturous camp out who lost, they say they would pay $700. Well, no, $170 max for the ticket. So that's a huge discrepancy. $2,400 and $170. And basically, there's 3 quirks to how we view what we own. When we own it, we fall in love with what we own. We also think that other people are going to see the transaction in the same perspective as we do. And we also focus more on what we'll lose than what we'll gain by giving up what we own. So those are the 3 quirks, and that's why we overvalue. We have a high price of ownership. Chapter 8, keeping doors open. Basically, we'll keep options open even at the expense of our target goal. So he had an experiment, but it's pretty hard for me to put into words to where I can feel like you can really understand it. But he gives examples in real life. He was counseling a junior who had 2 different majors he wanted, liked them both. He's taking all these classes, but now he's getting at a point where he's taking classes, but he's going to graduate late because he hasn't made a decision which one he wants to follow. So keeping both doors open is actually hurting his overall goal to graduate and to get a career. But because he's keeping them both open and not closing one, he's actually hindering himself from that ultimate goal. Another chick that he was counseling, some girl who's counseling, is she has an old boyfriend and a new boyfriend. Her goal to have a good relationship. She is scared to let go of the old one and hold on to the new one, even though the old one's dying and everything, and it's probably a worse door. She's still keeping them both open. And he gave another one a camera. You're deciding between 2 cameras, and it takes you 3 months to make the decision. Well, now you've lost 3 months of pictures making the decision. So we'll keep doors open even at a detriment to ourselves. Chapter 9, the effect of expectations. So basically, what we expect clouds our decision making. He had, well, basically they did experiments with Coke and Pepsi. In a blind taste test, Pepsi did better. People thought it actually tasted better. In a non-blind taste test, Coke did better because people have a social expectation that Coke has more social validity in the world, so people thought that tasted better. He also did put like vinegar in a beer and didn't tell anybody, and had them try that and a regular beer. A lot of people said it tastes like shit. He called it the MIT beer and didn't put anything in it. People thought it tastes better, and basically what we expect. Um, and he was at MIT though, so when you hear MIT beer, it's like, oh, so it better be good, you know. So what we expect is what we ultimately kind of see and get. Power of Price, Chapter 10. Basically, if things cost more money, we value it more. There was basically a chest surgery that they did that cost a decent amount of money. A lot of things were going into it, and it's also high cost just to get your chest cut open and in itself. So basically, it was like the standard way to do it. Then somebody came across and thought it wasn't necessary, and same price, 3 different procedures. One, the traditional. One, they did the incision, but they didn't do any of the tube tying. And the third, no incision. They did some other fake stuff to make the people feel like they did something. They tested the results. Everybody had the same results. So they've been cutting people open, tying up tubes in their body for however many years for no reason. Basically, it just never even worked. They also had an experiment with this Valinone, which was vitamin C, and they told people it was a $2.50 pain reliever that's about to be on the market. Very expensive if you're paying $2.50 for a pain reliever pill. Just one pill. Gave them shots before they took the tablet. Then they took the tablet, gave them shots later. Everybody said they had a severe relief in pain once they had the tablet. So it was all placebo. And if you think something's expensive, you think something's going to do something, you have high value for it, you're gonna have the placebo effect and also feel it. And there's a little caption for that chapter also. It's like why 50 cent aspirin can do what a penny aspirin can't. Because if it costs more, we just expect it to do more, and it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Chapter 11, the context of our character, part 1. Basically do this test where they have a control. They give a multiple choice question with the control group, where they just take the test. The prosecutor takes it and says how many they got right. So that's the control group. Then they had another group where they do it, and then they tell the proctor how many they got right. Then they had another group where they take it, they tell the proctor how many they got right, and they actually got paid 10 cents for every right answer. The first group was the control. The second group must have cheated a little bit more because they had a little bit higher score. And then the next group, who actually got paid and also told how many they got right, they cheated about the same. So it showed that when we have the option to cheat, we will cheat a little bit, but we won't cheat we won't blatantly cheat. We'll just cheat a little bit. We'll cheat less than we actually can. Then they did the test again, and instead of the last group getting paid, they had them either sign an oath or remember as many of the 10 Commandments as they could. And when they did this test again, the control, proctor collects the test. The second one, they tell the proctor how many got right. They cheated a little bit. Then the last one, the oath signing one, they told the proctor how many they got right. It was the same amount as the control group, so they didn't cheat. In part 2, which is chapter 12 of the context of our character, they go to talking about cash. So they do the same kind of test. So in part 1, the theory was we'll cheat, but not a lot more than we won't cheat as much as we can. We'll cheat, but less than what we can. And if we remember social norms of integrity, we won't cheat. In chapter 12, it's that we are more responsible with cash than we are with representatives of cash. They did a test where they had the control group, proctor collects the test, sees how many got wrong. The second, they report how many they got right and get paid 10 cents for each right answer. They cheated a little bit. And the third group, they say how many they got right. They get tokens that they would cash in for how many they got right. They cheated a lot more. And it was the only group where some people just all out cheated. They just said they got everything right. So That basically shows that when we're not dealing with cash, we're more likely to cheat and not feel bad. And companies with credit card interest, how we might look at our own credit card use, or banks hitting us with all these fees, it's like not really cash, so they don't feel as bad, even though they try to make it seem all social norm, warm and fuzzy, happy family type shit. But really, they can fuck us over and not feel bad because they're not really dealing with real cash. And then 13 was beer and free lunches. And this one was like, real quick. Basically, if you order your food and hear somebody order something aloud, you're going to choose something different. So they did a test where people ordered aloud. More people at the table would choose something different and have less satisfaction with their food. Then they had them all write down their choices for entrees and stuff. More people will pick the same thing, but have higher satisfaction. And basically, because we're an individualistic culture, we want to look unique to others and not like a follower. And we also want to have a lot of pleasure, but we'll put feeling unique above our own pleasure. And he basically said you want to be aware of it so you can enjoy what you're doing, but also look unique, because those are the two goals in a situation. Like maybe looking online and already picking what you want or ordering first. And he also gives a call to action with the free lunch. So maybe we should put some programs that help us stay on this course and make these decisions without relying on us to do it at that time, because obviously with the procrastination thing, we overvalue what we're going to do in the future. So we set outside things that force us to do it, or agree to things in our rational state or unaroused state to do things that when we get to those aroused states or different times, we make the correct decision. My call to action would be to pay attention to your behavior, take note of the different um, behavioral chapters that he gives, and the titles themselves can really just spark back to your mind. But be very aware of how you act, study yourself, see your shortcomings, and maybe you need to enlist things. I know for me, the biggest one was the procrastination one. I have to put deadlines, write things down, because I won't do them. And basically, that's just my takeaway from it. I hope you enjoyed the book breakdown. This is Devin Coates. Hopefully next time I can actually use the whiteboard, have a better camera. But till then, you got to work with what you got, Got to make some kind of action. So if you liked it, click that subscribe, press that like button, leave a comment. I'll leave a link to this book, Predictably Irrational, Dan Ariely, below in the description box. Till next time, peace.